I dream and the world trembles.
You are listening to the Emerald Dreamcast, a World of Warcraft podcast, with your hosts, Hazel and WoWMartiean.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the stream. Thank you guys so much for showing up. We appreciate it. This is our third episode, which I still didn't change in the title of Twitch, but that's fine. Pro as always. Thank you guys again for showing up. Hazel, how are you doing?
Hi. I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking. So glad to be here.
Yes, I'm telling you, this has become, kind of like the highlight of my week as I'm thinking about what I want to do in terms of WoW and whatever else. It's just like, oh yeah, Monday. I mean, Mondays usually suck, but hey, look, we got something to look forward to.
This has been a really nice organizational point. It's kind of nice to sit down and just sort of not play anything, but just sort of talk about what you want to do and what you did and just kind of regroup and write a nice book report. Didn't you ever get that feeling in school when you had to write a book report and you're like, you know what, I really wanted to just summarize my thoughts on that novel, and it's gonna be a wonderful time.
Not really, because whenever I got a book report for school, I didn't like to read, so I was always pick a novel that a movie was based off of, and then just write about the movie, because I'm a cheater.
Good strat. I don't think anybody actually liked writing book reports now that I think about it.
No,
I like reading the books. But,
yeah, I like discussion, but yeah, the writing of the book report just seemed a little bit like, I'm like, can we just like have a discussion?
And that's why we're having a podcast and not a blog.
Yes, an interactive blog. That's what we could do. We could just have a Google document where everybody gets together and chats.
Cell 1A says Emerald Dreamcast in like really, really boring font, and everybody just like,
oh, nah. Anyway, thanks again, guys, for coming. Really happy to be here, and we're really happy to like I said, this has been a real fun exercise for us to do this show because, like Hazel said, for us to just sit down and kind of chat about the game, but also to interact with you guys, to really get, kind of gauge what the community's kind of thinking and what you guys have to say and your points of view and opinions, because, that's what, the good conversations always spur on thoughts and different conversations. So we appreciate your feedback. To that end, We're going to start having a little bit more interaction with you guys. In fact, there's going to be like a Twitter poll that we're going to be doing, but we want to get...
Oh man, we have all sorts of segments now.
Right, yeah, we're actually kind of... This is evolving. It's becoming a thing now. So.
Oh, you know what we need for our segments is like sound bits, like a soundboard.
Sound bits?
Yeah. Sound.
Oh yes,
snippets.
Yeah. You know what?
So So if you're like now on past, present, and future, we can have like a really cheesy like.
Do Back to the Future theme or something. Okay.
Oh yeah, that is what that is.
I kind of thought that's what you were going.
I've only seen that movie like once. Okay.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit. That's what we can do. Okay. Anyway, so Hazel, we haven't really spoken a ton. So what's been going on with you? What's going on in your reels life?
Well, my dog's confused and a little bit mad at me right now because, like this afternoon, I decided after my shower that I was gonna sometimes on Mondays I don't really get dressed. I'm a bit of a sad person. I stay inside and play WoW a lot. And on Mondays I don't even stream, and I don't always go outside after I've walked the dog in the morning. So I can just stay inside in a giant potato sack of pajamas and do whatever. And today I decided that I wanted to be a real grown-up and put on some clothes. So I'm wearing jeans, I'm wearing a real shirt with a hoodie on, and I put on socks. I put on 2 matching socks, and my dog sees this and now he thinks we're going somewhere. And it's just upset him very greatly that I'm sitting down here and talking to my computer when we could possibly be going somewhere.
Aww.
So that's what's going on right now. Is he's just kind of walking around staring at me like, hey, get up.
So Mondays are adulting day for you.
Yeah, it's a good day to catch up on all the stuff that I kind of let slide during the rest of the week and kind of set some goals for the rest of the week that I'll then probably, not hit. But, it's nice to dream.
Right.
It's good to have goalposts to fail at.
That's right. Well, for me personally, first of all, the flooding problem is still an issue.
Oh, yeah. How's your alligator doing? Have you named him yet?
Travis is fine.
Oh, that's a good one.
almost with Chester, but I don't know. But we're finding out it seems to not be our problem. It seems to be the city's problem. So we're knocking on wood that it is, and that they will have to pay for it.
Yeah. Is it a rental, or do you guys own it?
No, we own this, but we talked to the neighbors today. Actually, first time we ever met them, but they actually were telling us they're having the same problem too. So we're pretty sure that it's going to be the city that's going to take care of it. So thank God for that.
Hopefully, either that or like insurance or something, because that's literally a hole of money.
Yes, no, it can
literally a money pit.
Yes, and that's exactly right. So hopefully that doesn't become much more of an issue. So we'll find out more. But otherwise, I've just been doing my thing in WoW. But one thing I want to, before we go into our week in WoW and talk about what we've been doing in game, I want to, kind of update everybody in terms of the podcast. Tons of people keep asking me about, the audio version, Stitcher, iTunes, all that stuff. And I mentioned we were working on something last week to kind of fix that. We have a solution. I can't quite announce it right now because it's not just that we found hosting. It's more than that. So we're kind of waiting for the details to be finalized before we can actually announce what we've done. But suffice it to say, by next week we should have not only the ability to have the show for next Monday up and running very next day on iTunes, Stitcher, and all that, and for download just anywhere on the web, but we should be able to have the first 3 episodes, including this one, up as well, so you guys can catch up if you haven't seen or heard all the shows. So thankfully that's done, and like I said, it's more than just we found hosting. I'm really excited. I want to say all that I want to say, but I'm not able to yet. So hang on tight. Next week, like I said, we'll be able to officially talk about it. We may even have a guest next week to be on to talk about it. Actually, I wanted to maybe do that tonight, but it didn't work out. But next week for sure, we'll be able to at least discuss it, if not actually have our guests. So, and like I said, we'll have all the old shows on there too. So everybody will be able to finally listen to a podcast somewhere besides
put it on your Walkman.
Yes, you can. Them AA batteries finally come in handy. So that's a big deal, and we're really excited. That really puts us where we want to be in terms of doing the show. In terms of our week in WoW, what have you been up to, Miss PvP Queen?
Oh, normal PvP stuff. I have been a little bit frustrated with this latest patch they've released that updated Battle.net and updated WoW to be compatible with the newest version of Battle.net, because as you probably noticed, they broke some stuff.
Yeah.
They broke some stuff really good. So
they
I mean,
do that.
people are getting whispers, people are not getting whispers, people are randomly disconnecting, people are having friends not appear in the list. You disconnect whenever you try and switch servers. It's just a big mess, and that's been really frustrating as you're trying to PvP, because I mean, everything's done through battle tags. People don't really work in guilds anymore.
Right.
So I'm trying to get in groups and trying to organize things, and it's just kind of falling apart. So I didn't actually end up doing too much. The other big thing that I've been working on is just kind of a personal project of self-improvement, and this is super dumb, but I'm working on putting together a spreadsheet so that as I rewatch my games, because I want to make it a goal to rewatch at least half of the games that I play, on my own time, to try and work out what I can do better. And I want a spreadsheet where I can actually tabulate the different categories of mistakes that I'm making, so I can sort of set priorities for things to work on. So I'm setting up categories of points of improvement, so I can tick off every time I get stunned out of bear form, every time I eat a kick, eat a poly, eat a hex, eat a warlock fear that I could have easily lined, and then things like if I let my harmony buff drop for more than 5 seconds, and I mark the wild buff on the team drop for more than 5 seconds. Just stuff like that, so that I want to sort of make some graphs and get some data and really get thinking about what I can do to improve myself. So I'm kind of starting to sort of set that up. And the other benefit of that is I'm a little ashamed to admit this, but I'm 23 years old, and I'm not completely clear on what spreadsheets are for. I use them in school to make graphs for my projects, and I know people use them for all sorts of, computer magic, but I would like to actually try and use one to understand a little bit better all of the stuff they can do. So that's what I'm doing.
Dude, that's really detailed. I mean, that's not just... She's not just casually doing her PvP. I mean, she's going back and watching game film.
I kind of want to get there. When I watched BlizzCon last year and the year before, I was always really disappointed that there weren't any women competing. There's lots of women involved in esports, and there's lots of people hosting and commentating, and lots of really great people in the scene. But you very, very rarely see any women actually competing, and I can't see any really good reason for that, and I kind of wanted to get into it a little bit, and I wanted to have a role model, and I looked around, and I couldn't really find anybody except Hafu, who used to, she won at BlizzCon, I think, for WoW. But aside from that, there really haven't been any women in the WoW scene specifically, or any scene, but the WoW scene specifically for years. And I kind of thought, why not? And the why not for me was I hadn't put a billion hours into it yet, so I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything with my life. I'm gonna put a billion hours into this game that nobody plays, and see if I can get good at it and prove a point. So it's really just kind of about being stubborn and not very smart.
I just noticed for some reason our OBS went down for a second and came right back up, reconnected. I don't know why, but
oh no,
it was only momentary. So hopefully we don't have that issue continuing. So we'll just keep an eye on it. So, but yeah, like I said, I mean, that's good. I mean, if you're going to do something, you know, to really go after it to that degree, that's dedication. Yeah. That's nice to see.
Wasn't there a movie somewhere that says something about don't half-ass things? You got to whole-ass one thing.
That's actually from Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Rec, yeah. I'm
yes.
whole-assing the one thing right now.
That's right. No, and that's the way it should be. So, are you looking on Twitch at all? Because it seems like it's like lagging.
I have the stream open. It's hard to tell if it's lagging because we have a static image for
right,
our
but
for our
I just
screen.
keep getting like the circle, like it's loading sometimes.
Oh, mine's not buffering at all. It's fine.
Okay, good. Okay, so as far as my week in WoW, if you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen my obnoxious tweets about it because it was just it's been a goal of mine for, well, not a goal per se, but something I've always kind of wanted to do, and July is going to be 10 years from me in WoW, and it's one that I never thought I would accomplish, so I really was kind of not only just tweeting about it, but documenting it for myself so I could go back and look at, like, okay, this day I had this much and whatever in terms of my gold. As of yesterday, I did finally gold cap. I got 1 million gold altogether.
I told you could do it in, like, less time than you thought you could.
Yeah, well, I must admit the gold missions completely evaporated for me this past week. For some reason, the week before I was getting flush with them and everything was great, and I did like 200k that week, and I'm like, oh, awesome. And then this week I had, I think, 140 that I needed to get, and I was really having to push. I manufactured a lot of gold by running a lot of Cataclysm raids on different characters and stuff like that. So luckily, what's funny actually is I was about 10,000 off, and I had a nice transmog staff that I've been trying to push for a while. And a friend of mine was just like, you know what, I'll buy that from you because I could use it and it'll help you, get to your, hit me right at 1 million on the nose. So thank you to Renee for doing that for me. So yeah, I got that done, and I'm thankful because now I'm never going to worry about it again. I've been wanting to spend my money, but I'm like, nope, if I do it, I'm never going to actually keep pushing. I'm going to give up. So I wanted to get that 1 million. And then once I did, I went out and got my Grand Expedition Yak, which somebody told me I needed to get.
Yeah, you do.
So I did. That was the first purchase that I did. And then I was kind of keeping my eye on the Spectral Tigers, and there was only one on the auction house. I messaged the guy. He wasn't on. I actually sent him a mail saying, hey, if you want, I'll kind of lowball you a bit. Then there was another guy that put one up, and I'd seen his name before, so I went ahead and messaged him. He was actually online, and we came to a compromise. It wasn't quite where I wanted to be, but it wasn't too much more, and so we went ahead and did that. So I got my Swift Spectral Tiger as well. And, I went back and looked at there's amounts that I had been putting off getting for, I don't know why. I mean, because I'm usually completely broke, so even like 10K seemed a bit much. But like the Klaxi Scorpion I finally got, the Thundering Serpent from the August Celestials I finally got. Oh, yeah. So I don't know why I put those off. So there's a lot of those little things that I've just, left behind that I want to keep, going back and catch up on. So right now,
are you within reach of one of the meta achievement mount goals now that you've got a bunch of extra ones?
Meta achievement one?
Yeah. Like the Mountain of Mounts and stuff like that.
And I'm really confused by that because I go on site, what is it called? Warcraft Mounts or something like that .com.
Simple Armory?
No, this one is actually called Warcraft Mounts.
Yeah,
warcraftmounts.com. And it said that I was only at like 199, so then I got another one and it didn't put me at 200, but then of course my mounts in game says that I have more than that, so I don't know.
So there's a couple of different things that play into that.
Okay.
The first one is that your mount count in game Like if you actually open your mount tab and you look at that count in the
Right.
window, it shows you all of the mounts you have, including both factions.
Right.
But those don't all count towards the achievement. So the best way to check on the achievement on a particular character is to open up the achievement tracking and see where you're at on that.
Oh, okay.
And then the other thing is that some mounts that are character-specific, like profession mounts or class mounts or PvP mounts, if you have any of those,
Right.
they will only count when you log in on that character. So when I got my 300 mount achievement, I actually had to log on to like 9 different characters until it popped for me, even though I had enough mounts.
Oh, dear
Because I
Lord.
had to log on to one that happened to have the right number of extra mounts that were specific to that character, even though I should have had it.
Gotcha.
So it's a little finicky.
Yeah, especially with all my alts. That'll be fun. Okay. Well, I'll definitely check that out then, because I'm sure I'm past. I swear I'm past 200. I'm looking towards 300 now, but I want to double check. So, but in terms of our Twitter poll, it's not necessarily a poll this week. It's just going to be a Twitter question. Being that I accomplished what I wanted to for so long, I want to know what your guys' greatest WoW bucket list item that you really hope to achieve before you stop playing. It's one of those that you may think is out of reach or whatever else, and you're really hoping that you can actually get it done at some point. What would be? I mean, you've done a lot, but is there one thing that you still? Would it be the Insane title, or is it something else?
I want to be Gladiator Hazel.
Okay.
I want to finish a PvP season in the top 0.5% of the ladder.
Very nice. Now, is that a newish a goal, or is that one that you've had for a while?
I mean, it's only fairly recently that I've realized that I can actually do it. It's been kind of a joke goal for a while because, I mean, that's a fairly small percentage, and there's quite a few people who have more time on their hands than me, and a lot more experience than me. Like, I only started PvPing in WoD. I'm quite new to the scene, relatively speaking.
Right.
So it's only in the last season, like half season or so, that I've kind of seen that I can, if I really apply myself and I work really, really hard and I don't give up, that this is something that I can achieve. Maybe not this patch, maybe it won't be this patch, but, within the next expansion or so, there's no good reason why I shouldn't be able to get to that point. So
Right.
that's something I want. And that gives you a mount that it's like really cool. I mean, it's actually not cool at all. It's like a dumb Gronling or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a gladiator mount, which means that not very many people, like very, very, very few people have those. So I think that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, definitely. And it's nice to find one that you think that you can. I mean, like I said, I never even considered getting a million gold because I'm not a gold maker at all. And again, if it wasn't for the garrisons, as much as I diss the garrisons,
Yeah.
they helped me get a goal that I never thought I would. So, you got to set those goals high because, if you just sit there and do the norm, how boring. So, but yeah, the poll is up, or the question is up on Twitter at Emerald Dreamcast, which is a shared D Emerald Dreamcast. Check that out and let us know what you think. And you can also, if you have any like comments or questions or whatever else, you can always hit us up at emeralddreamcast@gmail.com as well. So that is our week in WoW, and go on and to the next segment here. Nethera this week, actually on a Saturday, I believe, if I remember right, which is really odd to see a official Blizzard community manager in particular under their actual company account tweet out on a weekend. But she mentioned about a hashtag called Play It Forward, talking about, if we spent more time, trying to help each other than, fighting with each other, whatever else, how much better not only that would the game be, but social media and whatever else. And it was hashtag Play It Forward, and it got me to thinking. We talked about on the show last week a little bit about, of course, I think maybe it was the first episode where I talked about when you find somebody that you help out in game one way or another, just random thing, and how that feels. And of course, you said the weak must die.
Yep.
So. But with that in mind, I talked about, a little bit what happened for me. What was it? Sunday morning, I was looking through the pre-made finder to look for some rares in Tanan because I was really, again, trying to manufacture that last bit of like 20k gold. So I was hoping I can get those rares and get a medallion or two off of them and sell them for like 5k a piece on the auction house.
Yeah.
And in the pre-made finder, I found somebody that was asking somebody that had flying and a 2-person mount to help them finish up their Draenor Pathfinder to get some treasures and a couple of reputations finished up for them. So I sat there and I thought about what Nethera tweeted out in that hashtag, and I went, you know what? I'm going to take a little bit of time, even though I'm pushing for my goal. I'm going to take a little bit of time with this guy and then help him out, just like I talked about in the show. And so we sat down and well, he sat down on my mount. That sounds awful, but you know what I mean. And we did.
He mounted you.
we never mind. And so so we went ahead and finished up his Draenor Pathfinder. It took about an hour or so, and it made me feel good because I know what it's like to be right there on the cusp of something. And I mean, he could have done it on his own, but how much time did I save him by taking a little bit of my time? And the fact that I already had Pathfinder to not just use my own Draenor Pathfinder flying ability for myself, but to help somebody else out with it, felt good. And it's something that I want to start kind of talk about on the show from time to time. And if we could see if we can get stories like that, if we could make that hashtag a thing, if we could every week talk about, if almost set it a goal. Personally, I want to set it as a goal. That once a week, I mean, it's only once a week that I went out of my way and did something helpful for somebody, even if it's small.
Like random acts of kindness, but
that's
WoW.
exactly what it is, and I'd like to put that on us as a show to kind of start doing that and make that a thing. So if you're with that, if you, I know the week must die, but if you could find it in your, follow your heart, as you say, and once a week maybe help somebody some way somehow. Then we can, I think it'd be good, and then we can, challenge that to our listening audience as well, too. And I think if we just do that once a week, like I said, it's only once a week. It's not so bad. So I think
one thing I actually do really like doing, and I don't know if this counts, but every now and then you'll be in your garrison and trade chat will come on somehow, even though you disabled it a million times. And somebody will ask a question that's like a really basic, really beginner question. Somebody wants to know where something is, or how they craft a thing, or where do you find this NPC. And people just kind of make fun of that in trade chat because it seems like a really obvious thing. I really like whispering people with answers to questions that they just ask in public chat channels.
Right.
Just because, partially because I know and I can help out, and partially because I'm probably an insufferable know-it-all and I really like being right about stuff. But I love whispering people just to like help them out with any basic questions like that. And that's kind of one of the things that I like getting out of YouTube as well, is people ask all sorts of stuff. And if I know, I'm super happy to share info and just like get people on the right track, especially if somebody's stuck on something, because I can't count the number of times that I've been stuck trying to get something done, and somebody's just had my answer and that just like made my whole day so much better.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons for me that I like being a content creator, to be able to, and I think I may even mention this, so I don't want to rehash it too much, but to be able to make one video that answers a bunch of people's questions instead of, like you said, one at a time like we've done in game, to take something and blanket a bunch of stuff and help a ton of people by making one thing. That's been one of the most rewarding things about doing, which I didn't expect. I remember when I first started doing YouTube, I'm like, I'll do it for fun. But the fact that it actually helped people and made people's time in game better, I was just like, this is, because so many people did it for me. It was kind of nice to be able to pass that on. So cool. All right, so let's from now on, episode 3, we've put a stake in the ground. Hashtag play it forward. We're going to try and start making a positive impact on people in the game. So that's a good thing. The other thing is we talked about hardcore casual. I've been using that hashtag quite a bit lately because of all the way that I play, which is pretty much solo and just doing casual stuff. So we may make that a bit more of a thing on the show. We'll see. I haven't really gone into that yet. But let me ask you, Hazel, while we're on the subject of stuff in-game, we talked about add-ons. We both have add-ons that we absolutely just depend on.
Oh, man, yeah. I love add-ons. I love trying out new ones. Mm-hmm. I love deleting ones and angrily when they don't work out for me.
Yes. Especially when they're like everybody is hyped on them, and for me, like, I can't even get the settings to work. I'm like, I'm standing.
I love downloading something to try it out, because anything that can possibly help me out, then I'm willing to give it a shot. But the thing is, now when I create a new character for whatever reason, and it has all my add-ons on by default, because some of them I've forgotten to uninstall when I've decided they weren't necessary for me, the interface is just cancer. It's like an air traffic like control user interface, just like vomited with like a rave onto my screen. And it's actually really funny trying to clear that up whenever I'm starting a new character, just like, all right, I got to turn this off and this off and this off, and this can get out of here, and these frames need to be locked, and this can go away, and this can go away. But sorry, I interrupted you. You weren't quite finished asking your question.
No. I was just curious, in terms of add-ons, is there Is there one in particular? I mean, we could certainly say there's one in particular that you couldn't live without, and there's a lot of people would be able to answer that. But is there one that's kind of, you think anyway, more obscure that people could maybe be told about that might help them out?
Well, on the topic of user interfaces, there's one. I can't say I can't live without it because I've only recently just installed it.
Right.
This is a pretty new thing for me, but it's called Align. And all it does is when you type /align with this add-on installed, it puts up a grid. It puts up a grid over your user interface. What you can do is you can set up your UI exactly the way you want it. You can put out that grid, you can screenshot it, and then that will allow you on different characters if you want to replicate that user interface. You can move your frames like on that grid to just make it exactly the same. And it just really helps, like if you have, for example, a lot of weak auras and they're just kind of blinking around the screen, it can be kind of hard to get them all on a uniform size and like sitting on a uniform plane. This is an add-on that just kind of gives you a grid basically to just move stuff around on. It doesn't interact with anything. All it is a visual grid. But I really liked how lightweighted it was, and it's got a lot of options. I mean, there aren't a lot of options. That's kind of the point. There are no options, but I think there's a lot of applicability in using that to kind of clean up your user interface. And I've been meaning to do it with my own for ages because I have 4 druids now. They're all set up for PvP, and all their user interfaces are just like a tiny bit different because I'm moving my frames around by hand, and it drives me nuts. I got to fix that.
Right.
That's my new discovery of the week or couple of weeks or whatever.
There you go. That's a good one, and actually it makes me think of one. I'm not sure if I should go to that one or not, but I think I will. I'll piggyback yours. I don't know how many people know about it, but Move Anything. I don't know, but that has been a lifesaver for me overall. Basically, you can find any bit of UI in Warcraft and just move it around, make it. And for me, resizing it too, because sadly, I'm not getting any younger. My eyesight's not the best, so to blow up some frames a little bit from time to time, or like when I use Altaholic in particular, of course that has its own slider for the size, but to make that fairly large, because when I'm looking at Altaholic, it's not like I'm fighting a mob or anything, so it doesn't have to be tiny or translucent or anything. I can I want to really look at the fine details because I'm trying to fine tune something with my alts and whatever else, so I really blow that up as well. So Move Anything's amazing. For me, the one thing I remember really distinctly when Warlords came out is the pop-ups for the Garrison followers, whatever else. They covered something up in the UI. I don't know if it was buttons or what. I can't remember what it was, but it was really obnoxious. So I was able to move that to the top of the screen so that I wouldn't have to worry about that.
That sounds super useful. The worst is when I try and close the pop-up and I accidentally click on it and I make it reappear.
Yes, and make it stay there longer. Yes. That is one of the worst things. That's exactly why I moved that stuff. So, yeah, my achievements are the same way. I have the achievements at the top of my screen. So that one I would recommend as well. And we could go on. Actually, do we want to talk about add-ons longer? We could talk about more than one. We don't have to have, add-on of the week or anything. We can actually just talk about add-ons for a bit if you want.
Yeah.
The other one I was going to mention was, where is it at? See if where is mine? Now I got to find it. Wow, I can't remember where it's at now. Why is it not on my list? Anyway, I believe it's called Collectinator.
Okay.
Or is it not? See, now I don't want to say it and have it be wrong. But what it does is just keeps track of all your achievements and what you're collecting, whatever else. And for me, I really like it because it helped me out when I was doing my mount runs. Because for me, when I got ashes, for example, I have auto loot on, so it just sucks down all the loot, and it's really easy to miss if you have that mount. You have to scroll up and check your list or whatever else and see if it's there. Well, This is nice because it actually basically gives you an achievement alert when you actually loot the item, so you know for sure that you got it.
I used to have something like that I used. I don't remember exactly what it was called because I've since gotten rid of it because I kind of farmed all the amounts that I wanted. But when I was farming for things like the Slabhide Drake from Stonecore, it would, after you killed Slabhide and it didn't drop the Drake, it would tell you how many times you've killed it.
Yes.
And how likely you were to have it by now, and it would also have that achievement pop up.
Yep, and I think that's the same thing, actually, but I can't remember for sure. Actually, I'm like, why don't I have all my add-ons? Because, of course, I had that hard drive crash, and so I'm starting.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I still haven't put everything back on. So, but, I mean, there's so many, and I don't know. I get a lot of people that say, you have so many add-ons and it's slowing down your game and whatever else. I've never had a problem with my add-ons affecting my gameplay or anything. So I don't know. I mean, not that I want to run as many as possible and make risk it or whatever else, but I've always had a bunch of add-ons, and they just make the game better. So
yeah, I definitely see the point of view from people that don't want to use add-ons, or that at least they want to use as few as humanly possible. They can definitely make things cluttered, and they can cause errors. Every now and then I'll get an error where I can't enter an arena or like something, and says you can't do this because this add-on's or is trying to do it.
Right.
And it's like, RC loot cancel. Why are you trying to enter a battleground for me? That's not what you're for. But yeah, for the most part, they're really good. And I think it's just really cool all the different things you can do with add-ons like Weak Auras and Tell Me When, like the super customizable ones.
Right.
They're really overwhelming, but you can set things up to tell you almost anything that you need, and it's amazing how much you can improve your own gameplay, like in a raiding environment in particular, with all that extra information. My Shadow Priest UI when I was Shadow Priest raiding, it was pretty silly. It had a lot of weak auras going on, but I used all of them, and they helped me a lot.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Some of those are like you said, are intimidating and really it takes a lot to set up. And I mean, a lot of times you have to find it. For me, I have to find like videos and stuff to show me how to set them up. But some of them can be really rewarding. I remember looking for, okay, talking about being a noob and whatever else, I have to admit this. Back when I was playing up until Cataclysm, probably, honestly, all the way through up to Wrath and healing Lich King, when we were doing progression, I had no healing add-on. I was hitting my button, then going up to their user frame, going back down to my bars, back. That's how I healed, even through all my raiding and stuff. It's funny because I look back on it now. One of the reasons why I like that is because it really was challenging. But then I look at it and I'm like, well, challenging's one thing, but it's not efficient and it's not helping my squad. That's what I need to think about. It's my teammates.
Not helping my squad.
Not my squad, my teammates. I'm not, bang bang. That's all fine and good on my end. But when somebody's dying because I'm having my own little puzzle game going on, I probably should do something about it. So I ended up switching to Voodoo, and I've absolutely. It took me a while to kind of learn the ins and outs of how to really set that up well. But man, like you said, my hard drive crashed and everything else. Didn't have a backup, unfortunately. Like Hazel gave us the PSA on last time. But
back up your WTF folder.
That's right. Back up the WTF folder onto a thumb drive or something. Yeah. Don't do what I did. Don't be a dummy. This is your add-ons on drugs. No. But yeah, so I can set it up really quick and easy now, which is nice, and it's very customizable. And again, that can be a daunting thing, but actually over time, I think it's a good thing. Another add-on that a lot of people are pushing these days, I don't know if you know anything about it. It's called Cross Realm Assist.
Yeah, I've tried it out.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of it? What have you used it for?
Well, it depends on what I used it for. I was trying to get the Pebble Daily in Deepholm. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that achievement.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so that quest is available on, but if it's not available in your realm, it might be available in another realm. So I was using Cross Realm Assist in order to realm hop to kind of look to find a realm that had that daily quest available. And then you can use them for things like searching at rares. People use them for the Void Talon, things like that. And I think it's really useful for that, but I don't, it doesn't necessarily discriminate. If you're auto-join an auto-join group, it's very easy to skip past the text on their group that says, no realm hopping, get out, I will find you and burn your children. So you can end up crashing a lot of people's groups that they're not looking for realm hoppers, but people have kind of adapted to that by now. So if they don't want realm hoppers, they just don't have auto-join groups anymore. Right. And yeah, so there's some mild ethical concerns. I don't think realm hopping in somebody's group for 30 seconds when they're trying to fill like a Kazakh raid is the worst thing that's ever happened, and I will admit that I've done it a couple times. Right. But you're not entirely in the green area either, so I definitely think it's super useful. And of course, it does give you the tools to be conscientious about it. Like, you can't see the group description when you're looking if you want to join the group or not, so you can always give skips to the ones that don't want you if you're being a good person and all. But yeah.
Good person and all. Yeah, see, like I said, a lot of the YouTubers that I follow and make videos about, farming rare mounts or whatever else, they all swear by it. And I've used it here and there, but I don't think it's ever I don't think it really benefited me for what the purpose I was trying to use it for. Unfortunately, like you said, it seems so random, and shoot. I remember in particular, I actually tried it in Tanan, trying to find. I was actually looking right where Doomroller spawns, and hoping I could get him. Well, unfortunately, I went right to a PvP server and started getting picked off. I'm like, yikes! I'm out of here. So there are dangers to it. So
Absolutely.
if you do use it, just be aware. But it can come in handy. It's just
it's just a time saver. It doesn't do anything that you can't do yourself with a group finder interface. It just lets you hop in and out of groups a lot quicker.
Yeah, and like I said, it's never really benefited me for the goal I was looking for. But hey, who knows? Maybe it will for you. There's another one called World Boss Status, which
I've never heard of.
It's really nice. An Altaholic, which we both use, and that we swear by. This helps a lot for your alts in particular.
I actually don't use Altaholic.
You don't use Altaholic at all? Really?
I don't really know much about it, to be honest.
Oh, honey. You need to. Now, the big thing for me for Altaholic, we'll go back to World Boss Assist in a second, or Status in a second. The big thing for me, back when I first started using it, was to find like heirlooms on certain characters, because I had so many characters that get spread out. Of course, you don't need it for that anymore, but I mean, you can use it to look at almost anything on any alt. You don't have to flip characters to that character. You can literally search their bags while you're on another character. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can look at everybody's garrisons and find out where they're at in terms of their resources, their everything. I mean, pretty much anything you need to know you can find out with Altaholic without having to swap characters. It's amazing. That's one I would swear by, because I'm definitely an Altaholic. But World Boss Status is really nice for me because I was running all 24 of my 100s to do Kazakh every week for that lovely, lovely Fellblight money. Mm-hmm. And so it tracks what world bosses that you've done that week, so you can actually tell. So I know which character I did it on, because after 24, I mean, doing 24, you tend to forget which ones have done it, which ones.
Doing Kazakh 24 times a week is an undertaking. Bravo to you.
It is. Thank you. But like I said, money was good, so.
Yeah.
So it'll actually, you can hover over the icon and it'll show you which ones have actually done it. So it really comes in very handy if you have a lot of alts. So anyway, any other add-ons that you swear by?
Well, this one's not for everybody, but for anybody that looking to get into playing the auction house, and this is kind of the reason why I don't have Altaholic, is because this does a lot of my inventory management for me, is Trade Skill Master. I have the entire Trade Skill Master suite. I use it extensively, and it is absolutely phenomenal for everything related to crafting and professions and auction house and gold making and farming and just whatever. Like if I open a salvage crate, I can mouse over the tooltip and it'll show me the market price for a green item that I pulled out. It'll show me the average global market price. It'll show me the current price. It'll show me historical prices, and I can look at that and see, is this worth selling the auction house? Is it worth vendoring? And then I can have Trade Skill Master auto mail all items within certain categories to my bank hall, and then I can have it auto post by a set of rules. I can say, I want you to post this at 105% of market price, or you can undercut by 1%. Do not post it for any less than 80% of market price. Don't post it for more than 150%. If the price is over this much, post it for this much. And you set up all these rules, and then you can have a bag full of individual items, and you can just spam a button, and it will post all of those onto the auction house. So back when I used to sell a lot of transmog, and just a lot of everything, I sold a lot of crap, basically. I made it a mission just go in the world and get a bunch of stuff, and I would sell it because it was so much fun. It's so fast and easy to post it on the auction house and to kind of keep on top of what everything's worth. That Trade Skill Master is absolutely invaluable for anybody looking to really make a game out of making gold. Like if making gold is a thing that you want to do, you need these add-ons. They take a while to set up, and it's quite intimidating to get started with. I've been meaning to make a set of Trade Skill Master guides forever. It's one of those things that's on my air quotes list, but it's really incredible.
Yeah.
People in my guild will now do price checks. They'll be like, Hazel, how much is this worth? Because they don't want to go look it up in the auction house because they know I can see it from my tooltips.
Yeah, see, that's one that all the gold makers swear by. I mean, all of them use it. And, I go and I look and I'm like, oh, look at what they did with this. It's amazing. Because, I mean, doesn't it pick up, there's a list or something, or somehow that it picks up, like if somebody puts something like way low, like they want to sell it for 1,000 gold, they accidentally put for 10.
Yeah, so there's shopping lists that you can have, and there's a thing that you can set up where it'll actually alert you. You can have it email you when somebody does something like that. That's going a little bit deep, and I think you might need the premium version of the app for that.
Oh, okay.
But for just general shopping lists, you can like look. The way I used to do it is I would have a list that contained all of the epic raid drops, all the BOE raid drops in Draenor, and I would search that list and I would say, show me any BOE raid drops that are on the auction house for 60% of their market value or less, and it'll show you what percentage they're actually listed at, so I can buy them. And if there's like 8 of them, I'll just buy them out and stick them all in my bank, and then I'll sell them for actual market price one at a time. And I made most of my gold doing that, just flipping purples. And it makes it really easy to pick out what the good buys are.
Right, and see, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. But like I said, it's intimidating to set up. I've used it here and there, but man, I would really like to get into that. Especially
I'll let you know when I put together my fabled list of videos that I've been promising for years.
yes, please do.
I'll hit you up with a link on Twitter.
I appreciate that. And actually, in terms of making gold, we talked about the garrisons and everything else. She has a good garrison guide as well. I found it interesting watching your video because was it the jewel crafter hut that you used and did the daily whatever else that I hadn't heard before. I actually originally was going with the enchanter so I could DE stuff and sell the materials, but I found, frankly, at this point the materials are going for so cheap it was almost better to just vendor the gear instead of DEing it, sadly. So
getting to that point.
Yeah.
No, the JC hut's really nice because it's no thought involved, no time involved, no farming. You just do the thing, and it gives you, like, on average, like 220 gold. It's awesome.
Right, and
you do that 12 times a day, and you're in business.
Right, and your whole thing was definitely about saving time. Because you weren't taking, like, for me, I was taking the resources and dumping them into like the Draenic dust and putting those on the auction.
That's actually one other thing that Trade Skill Master was really good for is you can mouse over all the things that you could buy off that trader and see their current market price. So you could mouse over everything that's selling for 4 resources, and you can see without having to check an auction house exactly which one's selling for more at that time.
Well, see, that's what I see. I have Auctioneer, and it does the same thing, or at least shows it has the tooltip that I don't know how accurate it is. I mean, I do have to do a scan.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about Trade Skill Master is no scans. You actually have a desktop app that crawls a database for you.
That sounds wonderful. So much better than what I'm doing with Auctioneer. So see, that makes me please, when you make these videos. Now we all have to poke her and make sure she makes these because
I actually make videos like 100 times faster when I actually know somebody that wants it. The only reason I got that garrison guide together like 8 months after I was supposed to do it was because my friend Wallabear was like, "Hey, can you do this?" It's like, okay.
Oh, sweet. So that's what I should do.
I'll get right on that.
I mean, these days, I've and I have to say, I'll just throw this since we're kind of talking about it. I've kind of come to terms with the fact that my life just doesn't really lend itself to doing a whole lot in terms of YouTube videos because for people that don't, videos take a lot of time.
Oh my God,
to put together so much stuff that you guys will never see because you have to get the footage, you have to make sure you get exactly what you need, and then
like an 8-minute an 8-minute Legion class preview takes me on average about 11 hours.
Right. Exactly. I mean, those rare guides and stuff that I was doing back in Mist were 15, 20 hours. I mean, there's so much footage. I mean, especially the one was Krasarang because I could not get the gear to drop from me off of the rares. There was one in particular, it took me 9 or 10 attempts to finally get it to, and those things had hour spawn time, so I was having a pain trying to get that video together. And yeah, there's just so much time that people don't see, and they see the final product and they're like, oh, that's a wonderful video. I'm like, you have no idea what it took to get to that point. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm probably not going to be doing a ton on YouTube from now on just because I don't have the time. I have to work full time. I come home. I have my family to spend time with. It only leaves me a couple hours a day in the evening, and I'm sorry, I want to play some games too.
You got to play some games. You got to keep an eye on that hole in your basement. Make sure that Travis the alligator stays where he's supposed to be.
Insult him, Trevor. But yeah, so anyway, I digress. Hopefully, maybe I could. What I was getting at is maybe I could be your creative consultant and your producer. I could work behind the scenes and help you out, and I can just join the Hazel team. So, but yeah, any other add-ons? I mean, we got like 10 minutes here. So
yeah, we can probably save our topic for next week, honestly.
Absolutely, yeah, no, we want to go into...
And you were worried we wouldn't have enough to
right.
talk about.
I'd rather go more in-depth on that anyway, so... Yeah.
I've actually been updating all my add-ons. I opened up Curse to see which ones I had, and I've just been like, oh, I really need to update this one, and this one, and this one. I haven't done this in a while.
I was doing the same thing when we first started going, so...
Do you use the Curse client to keep track of your add-ons?
Yes. Absolutely. In fact, that's what I'm staring at.
I resisted that for the longest time. I did not trust it. I read one thing on one forum about how somebody got malware from like an add-on curse in like
Really?
2006, and I manually installed and managed my add-ons for years, and I finally got on board the curse client. I'm like, holy crap! I've wasted so much of my life. This is so much faster.
Yeah, but I remember doing the same thing for the longest time too. It was curse, and what's the other add-on site? I can't remember it off the top of my head.
WoW interface.
WoW interface. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, I used that one because LUI for the longest time. That's where it was found.
Oh my
And
God.
I love LUI.
Don't even get me started on LVY. I can't stand it.
Wait. Did you say ELV UI?
ELV.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't use that. It's just LUI.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
It's different.
What?
It's different.
There's a different one.
There is
It's L with the
LUI.
V. I understand a lot of people like
Yes.
it, but it just got. I'm like, for all that I like to install add-ons with wanton joy and try them out. If something messes with something I didn't expect it to, I get mad.
Right.
Like I install Elf and I'm like, you changed the font of my chat window. Get out.
Well, that's what's great about LUI, and I don't know about ELV, but you can disable a lot of different things, and if you want to use your own add-ons for certain things, then you can. I mean, like for me, I actually use Bartender for my bars instead of whatever it comes with. So I disabled a lot of little things, but it's an overall nice skin for the UI. It looks really sleek. It has the bar at the top, so you can hover over and see. Like, really came in handy for when I was doing all this stuff with the gaining the gold. Is that it would tell me how much gold I gained that out, or that at least when I was on that character at the time.
That's nice. Yeah.
Lots of little things like that, and it just looks really sleek. If you've seen any of my videos, I always had LUI up, so you can always check those out and see what it looks like. But I like it a lot. I haven't put it back on yet since I've reloaded my computer. I'm kind of hesitating to do it because I'm wondering either I should kind of work my own magic with like move anything and stuff like that and make my own kind of UI, or just for that matter, just maybe to keep things a little bit lighter, not actually put it back on. So I haven't decided yet at this point, but it is a nice little. Like I said, LVUI have not used, but I know when you are gone for a little while and you go AFK that it does a little like screen that shows your character dancing.
Yeah, no,
That's all I know.
That's one thing that I kind of wanted Elf for, was because I see that on my husband's computer because he uses it. And whenever he goes AFK in his garrison, he's got like a little night elf lady just like dancing around. It's like, man, that's kind of cool. And then the one other thing is that they released for April Fools sometime like a couple of years ago a Hello Kitty skin. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wanted it.
That's funny. I forgot about that. And we're coming up on that too. A
Oh,
lot
man,
of
you're
lot of
right.
add-ons do that, and I actually made a video years ago that talked about those different ones. That's interesting. I wonder what we'll find this year. It'll be, a lot of them might kind of recycle what they did before and then just a new tweak to it. I hope they come up with something new. So, and let's see, what else do we have here? Of course, handy notes. I mean, it's one of those you had to have for Warlords.
Handy notes was really nice when you're looking for the treasures, but I find that once I finished everything I needed from that, I pretty much disable them unless I'm leveling a new character. It's messy.
It covers everything.
It's so cluttered, yeah.
Yes, and then you tack on like NPC scan overlay, and my god, the map is
Oh my
just
god,
a
I had to
mess.
get rid of NPC scan. It was scaring the bejesus out of me.
It looks like a Jackson Pollock painting after a while. Yes.
Oh my
Which,
God.
do you know, by the way, little fact about NPC scan, it gives you the warning when you first use it, so I don't know how many people just click past it and then, it never comes back. So, NPC scan only works in Warlords of Draenor in terms of alerting you to rares. It doesn't work in any of the other zones anymore.
I know. That's kind of why I uninstalled it, was because when Warlords came out, they broke it. They broke the thing that allowed it to work on old NPCs. And who wants it for Draenor rares? Draenor rares aren't rare. They're just vignette mobs. They don't even call them rare anymore. They know.
That's right. Vignette mob, exactly. Oh, horrible. I could go into the heartbreak of that, but I won't.
I have some good memories of NPC scan and
Me too.
Time Lost Predator, which I don't have.
Yes. My
There
favorite.
was a close call, but
Yeah. Oh, you have a close call on Time Lost? Let's hear. Tell us of the heartbreak.
I mean, it's a pretty typical story.
I'll put in some
You know,
violin
You're
music.
sleeping, but you left your computer on.
Oh.
That god-awful noise wakes you up, and like your
Yes.
adrenaline starts pumping, and you get to your computer, and you knock over your beverage, but it's whatever. You got to try and get that Drake, and you finally find its dead body, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
going back to bed.
The worst one I ever had. Well, there's two. One I had. I came home and I was like really camping it big time. I came home from work and I was ready to log in and continue my quest for the time lost. And I got a phone call and I'm like, okay, whatever. So I was like 10 minutes on the phone and then I went to my computer only to log in for where my character was standing right there, and there was the dead corpse of the time lost prototype right in front of me. I'm thinking to myself, I could have been on the phone and getting on the computer at the same time. That 10 minutes probably kept me from getting the time lost prototype. I'm like, what an idiot.
It's okay. It's not your fault. It's just your generation. You're not used to being able to use the phone and the computer at the same time.
That's
not
all
your
right.
fault.
Let's go with an age joke. Thank God. But the other time was I was on a flight path, and of course, when you land, you're not on the same server you were when you were flying, and I saw it. I saw it flying.
Oh, no.
And I landed, and I was on a different server, and it was gone.
That happened to me once with a Spirit Beast. I spent a lot of time on various hunters because I have a bad habit of re-rolling my characters, but I always end up playing a BM hunter if I'm getting DPS. And I spent a lot of time hunting down various Spirit Beasts, and I was looking for Anka, and I saw it on my flight path, and then I landed, and it was gone. But I eventually got another one.
So, God, that's the one I know I'll never get that thing. Because actually, when I was doing, I was working on some rare guides for Outlands and Northrend, which are still kind of like sitting there in the back of my mind and on my hard drive. But I was trying to get the Time Lost Proto-Drake to pop on the Warlords beta, since nobody's going to be in Northrend. I mean, why? So I killed Viragosa I don't know how many times, and she kept popping up. I could not, for the life of me, get the Time Lost to actually come up and get me some footage. That's all I wanted was footage for my video, and I could not, even when I was on a completely dead beta server where nobody was in Northrend, and I had full control for the most part, I still couldn't find that thing to spawn, get that thing to spawn. So I know I'm never going to get it, especially when Cross Realms, or the Cross Realms came into play. That's it.
Sad.
Yeah. So.
Have you stopped trying? I've stopped trying.
Oh, absolutely. That was when I was sitting there, and not only like I was talking in general chat or whatever else, but like all of a sudden it was like, Joe Bob from Zulaman or whatever. It's like, oh, what? Who? And then all of a sudden all these people start. I'm like, well, screw it now. I mean, this place is going to be flooded, where it was just because I would go to a low pop server and just hang out because I had a good shot there. But then all of a sudden all these people started popping up because of Cross Realms. I'm like, nah, forget it.
So right before we wrap up here, my good friend Ben in chat has actually an excellent question, and he wants to know if Recount or SCADA should be implemented into the standard Blizzard UI. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, personally I don't think so, because it's very much a personal choice whether you want that information. I'll be honest. I think Recount and just meters in general have hurt the game in a lot of ways. It's because people have used them wrong and everything. But I mean, it's not the add-ons' fault by any stretch. They're a very handy tool to help raid teams and stuff. If you do it right, if you take care of your people and you say, hey, we're looking at this, and you use it correctly. But there's some people that just use it to be complete bullies. And it's actually hurt some of my gameplay over the years, is the way that people take that. So I don't. It's not. I guess the way what I'm saying is it's something for raiders and things like that, but not everybody needs it. So I would say it doesn't necessarily need to be built in. There's a lot of things that could be. That would be one I would say you can just take it or leave it. I haven't had it on in a long time myself. So. Yeah. What about you?
I don't know. I use it all the time. I used to think it was only for raiding, but I've ended up using it for PvP quite a lot too.
Yeah.
And I think that as a tool, just raw data like that, and data not just on damage, but on healing, on being able to see which of your spells are doing more, and comparing those to somebody else. So if somebody's higher than you, you can see what they might be using more than you.
Right.
You can see who's been kicking. You can see who's been getting There's all sorts of different things you can see in it, and I think it'd be really great as an option in the standard Blizzard UI. I think it should be toggleable. I think it should be one of those things where you can click a button somewhere, or go into your interface and turn it either on or off, or have even a keybind for that, so that you don't. If somebody doesn't want to get into that, they don't ever have to look at it.
Right.
But I don't think that them not implementing something like that is going to stop people from using numbers to bully other players.
No,
I think
absolutely.
making the numbers more transparent, it can only be a good thing, personally.
Yeah, no, that it's a behavioral thing. It's certainly not, like I said, it's certainly not the add-on in and of itself. But no, I agree in terms of being able to really diagnose things. And one thing that I found as a resto druid when I was doing progression rating and whatever else, it really showed when there were people padding their numbers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was stuff, and it's something. See, I never did that when I healed. I really was just focused on doing my thing, and I never even thought about padding numbers. So
that's one thing that Warcraft logs in particular, like not necessarily a meter
Right.
in game, but like actual logging and really, really detailed graphs that you can sort of page through for your entire raid and everything that happened. It's really good at it. You can use that to weed out overhealing, weed out numbers padding, and figure out exactly who's doing things really right and then find out what they're doing so that you can kind of work with the rest of your raid to kind of bring people up to scratch.
Right.
If that's what your raid is all about. If you're in a guild and you're just there to drink some beers and dance some bosses and you're just doing normal mode and it's fine, then I don't think you should ever have to look at any of that. It's all really intimidating, but they're really great tools for people that are in it for the progression.
Right.
And for not just like raid progression, but like personal progression, like people that really get a kick out of seeing their numbers be better than last week.
Yeah, and I mean, it can help even in terms, I guess, when it comes to like soloing raids and stuff like that, or anything, you can see, like you said, you can see where your damage is and what you can do to improve it. So, I like I said, I want to like it, but like I said, I have one really funny story when it came to Recount in particular. We were raiding with I loved this guild, and the guild master was this wife, and her assistant was her husband. She was great. The guy was a complete hothead bully guy, and I remember he just went off on somebody or something. I stuck up for him, and then he went off on me. Then he started attacking my girlfriend, who was a disc priest at the time. This was during, I think, the very beginning of Cataclysm. And he went off on her for never showing up on the meters or always being the bottom of the meters. And at the time, it was like, hey, dude, disc priest, it's bubbles. I mean, she's not healing. I mean, it's
not until fairly recently that they actually made those count on meters.
Exactly. And so I was just like, you're a moron, you're a hothead, and we're out of here. So I'll never forget that. It was just so funny. He just thought he knew exactly what he was talking about, and he was just ripping into us, and he ended up looking the fool. It was amazing. So anyway, so that's pretty much it. We like you said, we didn't have to worry about having stuff to talk about. I keep forgetting. Yeah. So, but I want to remind people, like I said, the hashtag Play It Forward. Find somebody in game that you could help in one way or another. It doesn't have to be anything monumental, but take your time.
Go buff somebody on a boat while you still can.
There you go. That's right. Just throw a buff on somebody. That's something. So, but yeah, we're going to be talking about that every week, and hopefully we can, like I said, have some really cool stories come out from that. And like I said, next week we will have an official announcement as to how we are dealing with our hosting issues and how we're going to put archived episodes of the podcast up. We will have all that information for you next week. Like I said, can't speak about it now, and then hopefully we'll have our first guest who will be on, and we'll be able to talk more about that with us as well. Looking forward to it. So, with the end of the show, if you guys do want to contact us, like I said, Emerald Dreamcast with a shared D on Twitter, or the email emeralddreamcast without the shared D at gmail.com. If you want to contact us directly, it's Hazel at Hazelnutty Games on Twitter, and I am Joe at WoWMartiean on Twitter. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat room as well, so you guys can have it. Boom. So, don't hesitate. We're always looking for feedback and any questions or anything that we can help you guys with, and give us segments for the show that we can, if it can help you guys, we want to do it. So, thank you very much for coming out, as you guys always have. Really appreciate it. Hazel, I appreciate you as my co-host. I know, but I
appreciate you.
But like I said, this has become a highlight of my week, so I'm really looking forward. And like we spoke earlier, the show is evolving, and we will have some more segments and things like that coming up. So we'll make things a little bit better. This is only episode 3, despite what the title on Twitch says.
Yeah, A+ job on that one, by the way.
Look, girl.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so thank you guys again for showing up. I appreciate it, and we will see you again next week, same time. Take care, guys. Bye. Bye.
I love the 20.